Todd, it's great to see you. How's everything going for you and the Gamecocks getting ready for this matchup in Tuscaloosa?
Roger, like a lot of college teams now, the ups and downs get you, but it's great to be playing. I love this time of year. I love the college game still. I know there's a lot of issues that hang on the peripheral about it that have not made it as much fun for fans and at least more questionable about where the future of programs are going. But I still love the game a lot. It takes me a couple of days to get over tough losses like we had at Ole Miss last week. But I did celebrate the win over Kentucky quite over a period of time, and I think we've got a competitive team that even going to Tuscaloosa, I think we're going to bring a respectable program and probably play well. We did not play well last week at all. Not that that game couldn't have gone with Ole Miss winning, but we did not show up very well for that ball game with the number of penalties that we had, the lack of big plays and frankly, just some coaching issues that Shane admitted we just didn't do well at the best of times, and such is football. And but we're glad to be back at it again and finally get back to Tuscaloosa. It's been a long time.
It certainly has been first time since 2009. 5 games in for South Carolina. Can you kind of walk us through or talk us through these first 5 games of the year?
Sure. Biggest thing is we from out of camp, Roger. We thought we'd have a pretty feisty defense, and it's proven to be that way. Now everybody scores 30 points in ball games. Even some of the best of the defenses with good competition are giving up a lot based on the rules and what's going on and the offenses that have come out. But we think we've got a good defense that can compete when they're playing well. Our front seven has gotten a lot better. So out of camp, what we were worried about was our redshirt freshman quarterback. Would Lenore Sellers be able to hold up? Would we keep up in the scoring that occurs in this league a lot of times? And he's had, like you might expect, some very good showings where he's more than capable of making those plays. And at other times, we've suffered because of his inexperience. And so at Old Dominion, we did not look good. We didn't look like a whole functioning offense that was prepared to make plays. Still won the ball game. A big win at Kentucky where we made them look bad. A very good football team, by the way, Kentucky is. And I think they obviously proved that by upsetting Ole Miss there afterwards. But we played well, had a very good plan, and the defense pressured them all day long. I think 4 completions on the day for those guys. And I think we're still relying on that formula. And then there afterwards, put it on Akron pretty good. They were not the opponent that we all know comes with SEC play. And then the Ole Miss game last week with Lenore Sellers back, he's missed 6 quarters due to injury, where Robbie Ashford, your folks will be familiar with him. Of course, the transfer from Auburn has played well and played capable at times, more than capable when he's been out. But you don't take a guy who doesn't have much experience and then sit him on the bench and expect him to shine. He's missed a lot of football so far. So the season has kind of gone like I expected, and that would be that we've got to move. The faster Lenore's goes, the better off we'll be. The biggest thing that I think Alabama fans would see is that we're struggling to find a lot of playmakers. We're struggling for those explosive plays that Coach DeBoer I've seen has gotten out of his offense a lot, and Alabama has gotten out of a lot. I think it's harder for us. We've had some long breakout runs with Sellers and the transfer from Arkansas, Rocket Sanders, and receivers are doing fine, just not a whole lot of explosive plays. We had 3 series last week, Roger, where we went 10, 11, and 13 plays and got no points on those. You can't win in games like that, and we need to try to make some big plays to do it. And so right now, I think we have a very competitive team. We're hard to block up front, particularly in the pass game. Our linebackers, we actually have more depth and can rotate those guys and play, and quality secondary players that Coach White, Clayton White, our defensive coordinator, is not afraid to play on the edge and let them play out one-on-one and try to slow people down. And we just got to come along on offense a little bit.
Speaking of the offense, Alabama was just defeated by a mobile quarterback at Vanderbilt and Diego Pavia. Can Lenora Sellers or even Robbie Ashford in different packages do similar things to what we saw this past week?
Very much so. I haven't seen the whole game yet with Vanderbilt, but saw some of the highlights and other plays as well. Yeah. I mean, Lenore Sells is probably at his best in the run game. He had 55 yards last week, 165 yards passing. Roger, I think that's kind of his sweet spot in there. We just didn't score at the end of those drives, but he's more than capable. He had a 70 plus yard run, the longest quarterback run in Carolina history for a touchdown a couple of weeks ago. He's capable of that. He throws just fine on the run. Probably his pocket passing is what he would need to improve on a little bit more. But yes, he is a load. I mean, he and Jalen Milroe could go into the dictionary as the big physical mobile quarterbacks with their pictures right beside him. I think Jalen's a more polished passer at this point in his career. But yeah, I mean, he can give you fits when he's got it going.
Looking at the South Carolina defense, how will the Gamecocks try to match up in the secondary, specifically with Alabama, with some of the skill players on the outside, like Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Kobe Prentice?
Yeah, that's the problem is that you didn't just mention one guy. There's multiple guys. That gives everybody problems. You know, everybody in the league now has at least one stud, it feels like, at wide receiver. It's when you get into those multiple ones, it gives you problems. And not that all of our guys are not good coverage guys, but you can't cheat. You can't slide a safety over there to give a little help, or even one with two. And what I've seen of Alabama so far is exactly as you described it. They have multiple threats all over the field, and of course, DeBoer and his philosophy that he brought with him to Alabama is put them in open space, take some shots, make plays. I think that'll be hard, but I don't think it's athletically that far from being able to match up with them. I just think that Alabama's offense, like a lot of other ones now, is sophisticated enough. They will find places to get those guys into space. Big part of it too, and Ole Miss did a good job with us on this. Keep them in front of you and tackle well. You got to keep Alabama's folks in front of you and tackle. We're pretty good tackling secondary, good at the linebacker spot. Eman Worry, our free safety's having another good year, and he's a hitter and can come up and do that. But as you know, it's a lot of the slants, it's a lot of the wide receiver screens. Those are the things that break your back at the end of the day if you're not tackling on the perimeter.
Shane Beamer had some experience before in Columbia on Steve Spurrier's staff. He gets the head job in South Carolina a few years ago. How have you seen him kind of build this program in his own image? What does he want this program to be known for?
Yeah, well, first of all, you know, I've been doing this a long time, been with Steve Spurrier, Lou Holtz, Will Muschamp, all that, and I've been around all the coaches that we're thrilled enough to be able to cover and be around. And what Shane has got is he's got the two sides of it, which you got to be. You have to be incredibly personal and charismatic. He is that. He's great in the boardrooms, meeting with donors or folks. He's great in the living room with parents who love them. The players respect him. He has a tremendous skill set in that regard. He's just a guy you like. I mean, you'd like him away from football, wherever it may be. Very personable guy, has not been shunned by his family being in the game forever. Of course, with his Hall of Fame coach, his father, Frank Beamer. He knows that's an important part of the process. So he's building that through players. He has consistently gotten better recruits. He's on a good run right now with recruits. I'd say that's the first thing that he's done is he's got a really good personal touch to the program that we need here. You know, when you recruit, you got Georgia just across the border and Florida and Tennessee. You better do really well at recruiting. If not, they're going to steal all your players from the state and then get their own from their states. And Shane's trying to slow that process down. The next thing he's done, he's pretty hard on his coaches. You know, you might not think that in his personality, but he also demands a lot from them. I think that's a good thing. The players absolutely play hard for him. I think that's a question when I watch other teams sometimes. It's a lot of what am I doing today, not about what am I doing best for the team. That's not in every program, but you and I both see that on occasion. Shane rarely has those lapses. These guys hurt when they lose. They play hard and usually play to their capabilities. That's probably his mark, I think, that he gets that out of them.
Yeah, and how have you seen him get his teams ready for a matchup like this against a top 10 Alabama team? I mean, notably, there were the wins against Tennessee and Clemson a couple years ago, and even in some tight losses against either Georgia or other teams that are in top five, top 10. Seems like the Gamecocks are always ready to go. How have you seen him get his teams ready for matchups like
You
this?
know, he has been in some big games, even the ones we fell to. Now we had a guy named Spencer Rattler. A lot of those games you just mentioned, who is an equalizer in a lot of places. And I said for the 2 years we had him that he's massively underrated. And I think what I'm hearing, he's going to start for the Saints this weekend. And so I think that was an equalizer a lot. There's not a throw he couldn't make. He was incredibly good under pressure, and that helped us. So you got to have a quarterback there in big games like this, and then you need a good plan. And Shane has done that. I think Dow Loggins as a play caller really gets into rhythm sometimes. We did not have a good week this past week doing that. I think he would acknowledge that. Ole Miss just kind of sat back, played zone on us, and we couldn't find the seams and sit down areas to crack and make plays after you catch it in between folks. And we could have maybe done a better job there. But I think normally you have a good plan. I think they scout pretty well. They know your weaknesses, and it's a good coaching staff, like almost everybody nowadays. I mean, you don't see many weak links, but he has done a good job in bigger games of making sure he has a formula that, if we execute, could win the ball game. And this is one of those games we all know, and it probably wouldn't be different from what Alabama says against Georgia or another top program too. Get me to the fourth quarter, and then we'll see what happens. If you can keep this game close into late third and fourth and have a shot, then maybe the football gods are on your side.
Well, we look forward to Saturday, Alabama against South Carolina. Todd, first of all, just safe travels coming over with your teammates here to Tuscaloosa. We look forward to having you guys in town, and thank you for your time today on the Crimson Tide Sports Network.
Great to be with you guys. Look forward to seeing you.